Welcome back to the podcast. So today we are diving into a topic that I know so many of you have questions about. How do you really know if your business idea is a good one? Now, if you are anything like me, you have probably had a million ideas pop into your head. Some are exciting, some are kind of wild, and some are so good that you're probably ready to sell your first product before you even finish brainstorming. Now, before you put your time, your energy, and resources into an idea, you have to stop and ask yourself one very important question. Does this actually work in the real world? That's what today's podcast episode is all about, validating your business idea. And I'm going to give you a simple, actionable framework to figure out if your idea actually has legs to stand on. And by the end of this episode, you'll have the tools that you need to make a confident decision about whether to move forward. So, step one, you want to start with the problem, not the product. Here's where a lot of people go wrong because they fall in love with their product or their service idea before they even think about the problem it's solving. But the reality is, if your idea doesn't solve a real pressing problem for someone, it's not going to go very far. And so you want to ask yourself, what specific problem does my idea solve? Who is experiencing this problem? How are they solving it right now? And if you don't have clear answers to those questions, that is your first sign that you might want to pause and go back to the drawing board. A really great business idea starts with a great problem, one that people really care enough to spend money solving. So step two is you want to talk to actual people about what you're thinking about launching. And this is where the true magic happens. You want to get out of your head and into real conversations with the people that you want to serve. So you want to reach out to people who fit your target audience, whether it's friends, family members, colleagues, or even strangers in your niche. And you want to ask them questions like, have you ever experienced whatever problem your idea solves? And how do you currently deal with it? Would you be willing to pay for a solution like whatever your idea would be? And you want to listen. I talked about this in the last episode. You want to listen more than you talk because your goal isn't to sell them on your idea. You really just want to try to understand how they think, what they want, and whether or not your idea resonates with them. Step three is you want to test it on a very small scale. I often say that everything is testing until it's not. Everything is trial and error until it's not. So this might feel really scary, but it's better to test your idea early on than to spend a bunch of money and time and energy investing in a product that ultimately will never sell. So you want to create a minimum viable product. So this is a super simplified version of your idea that you can put in front of your audience to see how they respond. Now, if you are launching a product, maybe that could be a basic prototype. If you are starting a service, maybe you want to offer it to a small group at a discounted rate. We often call these beta programs or beta launches where you get a small group of people. Maybe you had to add them to a Facebook group or something like that, and you spend the next however long, whether it's a few months to even a year, testing out the program or the service that you are considering launching. You are utilizing them. They get a service for free, essentially, or for a discounted price. And in exchange, they are offering you feedback to help you really refine that program or that course or that service. The other thing that you want to do if you are creating an online course, kind of similar to what I just said, is you want to test one module before building the entire thing. And so maybe you will give this away as a free course and you offer, or that's not what I want to say. You give it away as a free course and in exchange, you get feedback from your audience members. Because the goal is not to be perfect. You really want to get feedback in order to make improvements, and you want to figure out if people are actually willing to pay for whatever it is that you're offering. Make sense? I'm reading my notes, so I'm trying to make sure I'm staying focused. And I'm explaining this in a way that you can really grasp what I'm trying to communicate. Okay, so step 4 is you want to look at the numbers. Once you have tested your idea, you really want to take an honest look at the data. So, how did people respond? Did they actually pay for your product or service, or were they just interested? People will often tell you that they love your idea because they don't want to hurt your feelings. But when it comes down to pulling out their wallet, that's when you know if your idea is truly solving a problem. And so you want to ask yourself, how many people bought my product or service? What feedback did they give me? What changes could I make to improve it? And if the numbers are there, that's wonderful. You are really onto something that tells you that you should continue moving forward with this idea and maybe just refine it and tweak it a little bit. But if not, this is all a part of the process. Again, everything is trial and error until it's not. And so you can just tweak your idea, you can refine your approach, and then you can test it again. And step 5 is trust the process. We hear this all the time, but rarely do we actually trust the process. And so I want you to remember that validating your idea is a process. It's not about getting everything perfect the first time. It's about learning, improving, and building something that truly works. And so if you've been sitting on an idea, waiting for the right time to start, let this be your sign to take action. Do the work, have the conversations, test it out. The only way to know if your idea will succeed is to get it out of your head and get it out into the world. Okay? And so that is all today. If you have found that this episode has been helpful for you, please share it with someone you know who is dreaming of starting a business, or they have this really big idea in their mind and they're trying to figure out how to pull it all together. And if you have questions or you want to share your own journey with me, either comment below or reach out to me. I would love to hear from you.